Hola, ¿qué pasa, everyone? It's me, Susanna. One more time. I thought that while it was actually kind of quiet in my house, I could work on a little more blogging. Let's see. Ironic part of my day. My husband was cleaning the garage and random buckets. You think that I have everything organized by now, but apparently must be pictures here and there and oddly enough, okay, considering my daughter sending me to order protection cord, and I'm like so stunned and wowed and done everything to not think about her all week. And then I find this. Yes, this would be a picture, okay, that has Mina, Christian, Ashley, and myself at a Christmas 1998. It's closer up. See that? That is Ashley leaning against me with the Teletubby that's yellow. And that is Christian in my hands. And that is all of us just happy at a visit. Happy. Look at that smile on her face. Look at that smile on Christian's face and my face. I mean, and my sister took this picture, by the way. Then I was sitting there thinking about how these papers make their dads sound like such a horrible monster, and it really kind of ticks me off because I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know, whatever people do in their past, they do in their past, but what does the past have to do with the present anymore? I mean, because we've overcome so many obstacles in our life, and again, I'm going to stress that Daddy graduated to Fry. Bachelor's degree, Network Communications Management, just last year. Kind of like your adoptive aunt who graduated nursing school, which is totally cool. And I don't know. I'm still kind of blown away. Because the harder that I try to forget the kid at the moment, okay, the harder it is. And I just cannot believe that anybody can just work this hard to really do this to my family. I mean, it's like worse than Desperate Housewives. People have nothing ever better to do than to, oh, what can we do to Susanna today? Oh, what can we do to mess with her life or her kids or whatever? And today, the second most bothersome thing to me is I cannot believe that my mother-in-law could do such a heinous thing to her son and her daughter and her niece, or I'm sorry, her daughter's daughter, which would be Jamie's niece, which would be her other granddaughter, and or my daughters, or my sons. Don't know if she really gives a crap about how much she's impacted this whole house, or how disappointed I am that she worked a year and a half, okay, to build this so-called bond with her son, and she actually did something bad behind our backs, and we don't even know what was said about us. We have no idea except that we were like dangerous and not allowed to be around, and you know, a relationship like us would be so horrible. And you know, this all stemmed after she was like kind of ticked off, okay, about the whole she couldn't see me, thing. And so, you know, when she said the two can play that game thing, when she and I were kind of battling it out on the internet, and I guess she wasn't kidding. I guess for me, it's lucky that I saved all those emails that she's so ticked off about, because I have to drag that to court now too and say, well, we don't have a positive relationship. So, of course, she said whatever she could nasty, but just not the kind of thing you do if you really give a damn about your son. And I just, man, some of the things that are in that paperwork, it's just amazing to me. And it will really suck to find out if that came from my mother-in-law. I'll know hopefully soon enough. Because of course in court, you know, they have to kind of turn over their little evidence, documentation, blah, 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 whatever. And of course I will have to go get an attorney and attorney's advice. Thank God I still have a long-lasting friend who's a great attorney. And yes, I decided that I'm going to actually go through with this. I'm going to show up. I'm going to tell my daughter how much I love her, because I do. I've always loved her. Her beautiful smile, and again, nobody can take away those loving moments of when I gave birth to her, or when I went through 36 hours of labor with her, or the puking, the vomiting, the staying up all night singing to her, okay, all the lullabies, because she was 9 when she was adopted, dude, and I was there for all the important little milestones. And granted, I wasn't there for all of Mina's milestones, but she did call me Mama first, which was one of those heart moment things that I'll never forget. And I'm just kind of like, wow. You know, my mom said that things in life are going to be hard and my kids are going to make my life a little bit harder than I made hers, and she was not kidding. But at the same time, my mother had this really strong point about herself that I've been thinking about the last few days, and that tough love thing. And, you know, if you're old enough to try to take your parents to court, then you should be old enough to pretty much listen to what has to be said. And in this case, there's going to be a lot, and God knows I still have so many buckets to go through, and I'm just going to have to take it all. I mean, I'm going to have to show. If I can't show it in court, I'm going to be showing it on the internet, because there's nothing in the world that could stop me from doing that. It's my paperwork and all the doctor's reports that I got and everything that they don't want the girls to know. I'm going to prove them wrong. So, you know, in one respect, I might want to address one issue. You could say that, the biological father, which, by the way, this is how you know it's not totally my daughter's name, because she's like, well, Susan and James this, their biological son, Christian, or her biological niece this, or, you know, whatever. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, hello? We are your biological mother and father, and that is your biological brother who cried for you for 10 years, okay? So when you're going to do all that biological stuff, okay, at least try to do it with a little bit more respect and tactfulness, because 8 pages worth of, it sounds like Lynn, really. And the last set of court papers that I had, which actually conveniently while cleaning the garage, oh my goodness, I found that too. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens in court, because it's almost like a double jeopardy gig. You really should do your investigating in advance, because I've really learned a lot over the last decade of not talking to my children, and court hearings and court attorneys and all of that. And I don't think she totally realizes that everything that you put in those papers, once they become public, they don't go away, they stay public. So pretty much anybody, and I mean anybody from your hometown, your home courthouse, your whole family, adopted family, friends, media, anybody can just Google all that stuff up. And you know that is not always in a person's favor, because there's a lot of things, I'm sure, that you don't want people to know about your childhood. I mean, your childhood was imperfect. Worst that happens was that you were homeless, okay? That's really our worst fault. And yeah, your dad had a small drug problem, but the fact that you actually put me in that as far as having drug problems, I have issues with that. And a whole lot of paperwork to back up that that's never been the case with me. But I'm guessing that the adopted mother had so much to say, because it sounded, all her words pretty much just dictate to my daughter what to write, but write it in this way, and then just throw in the whole family under the court order. And you know what? I don't even know those people. All I know is that I have 2 daughters out there in the world, and one who absolutely dismissed and disrespected her biological family. And you know, we only gave her to you out of respect for Ashley and Mina and all our children, and because you promised an open adoption. And I can't believe that after, what has it been, 10 years now, that you can still deny that, okay, and still fight me every inch of the way. It's kind of getting old. And I'm going to go with my mom's advice a long time ago, that I shouldn't have given up. I'm going to be the strong one, and I'm actually going to face this time. This time, it's going to be different than the last time. I'm going to really face it, sadly, against my daughter. But I'm quite sure that when I have to drag in people over email verifications, okay, and validity in order for them to not be hearsay, it's really just going to drag out into something. It's going to be all public record, because I promise you that I will make sure that everything that needs to be said goes in a court record. That's me, that's my style, and, well, that's how I feel for today. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my night by trying to spend time a little bit sleeping, and then spend time with the family that loves me and the friends that love me, okay, because they know that I'm not this horrible, monstrous person, because my life is too busy for this slanderous crap, which you'll also be getting, some papers for in the immediate future for different court hearing that has nothing to do with order of protection, has to do with slander, defamation of character, emotional abuse to my children, that you live with me, and all the lies that I can prove that are lies. So I guess, yeah, thank God for that 10-year statute of limitation that's not up till December. And I figure, you guys are stalking me anyway, so there's no sense in lying about it because, I learned a lot and I'm going to fight it. And don't worry about it because it's not just the adoptive parents. You can blame my mother-in-law too now. Because whatever she wrote obviously made my children deathly afraid of me worse than their adoptive parents ever could. And no idea what was written, but I'm going to go on instinct and say that out of her pure jealousy and anger towards me, this is why this is happening. So when I go to court, you'll get to see all the nice, not so pleasant things written between me and the mother-in-law over the last 10 years. She hits my guts. So this comes to no surprise to me, or at least it didn't to my mother before she died. And this is another day in the life of Susie Cloutier. And so I just thought I'd add this to my blog for the day. Toodaloo. God bless. I wish you a lot of luck, sweetie, because you and me against each other, that's going to be awkward. But, you have the stubbornness I do, and I have a little more experience in this, but that's okay. Because I'm willing to see what you've got and what I've got and how this will play out. But I have to defend the boys. This has just gotten too old. So every nasty thing that was ever written to him, I've saved. I filed my police reports a long time ago. And you should be prepared that will be going to court, and I'll be requesting a continuance because I'm going to need an attorney on this one. No matter what, I'm going to actually go attorney because I need to fight this. The things that were in those pages that there's just no way I am going to allow to sit in a public record for the whole world to see. There's just no way. There are some things that are irrelevant or misconstrued, or I don't even know where you heard half of that, but I'm going to totally find out. And a lot of people are going to have a lot of issues with being sued. So I'd really like to hope that you won't be one of those, because now that you're an adult rules apply when it comes to courts. Hope you know that too. And if it turns out that certain things were written to your brother from you as an adult, then that's not going to look good either, because that's a whole nother case. But I love you, and I'll see what you got. It's not that I have no consideration for your feelings, because I absolutely do, but the problem is that everything comes from Lynn and Dan and not from you. Or at least not verbally in front of me, except for the day at the dollar store place that you humiliated me at. But not from you personally at all in 10 years. And that kind of blows. But that's okay. I'm okay with this now, because it's going to be a new week. I've got lots of paperwork that just seems to be falling in my lap out of nowhere. And so this will be another one of those life lessons I learned. Oh well, say la vie, as my mommy would say. Buenas noches, because you are Hispanic. Adios.